I'm struggling with this knife, I'm not joking, eh? Might need a bread knife. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Crispy Skin. ChatGPT told me not to do it, but we're doing it. Today, we're going to insert a layer of puff pastry between the skin and the flesh of the chicken, and we're going to roast it. So, very simple. If you're a regular on this channel, you can skip the undressing of the chicken. We've had enough chicken nudity. If this is your first time here, what we want to do is we want to very carefully take the whole skin off, add the puff pastry, and put the whole skin back on, keeping the skin as intact as possible, which is a bit harder today given our butcher has kind of butchered the skin here, but we try. So we remove the wings, save them chicken stock later. We'll remove the wing drums after we remove the skin, making it easier to dress up the chicken afterwards. Now, we start to loosen the skin from the flesh gently. So once you're in, one way to prevent the skin, especially from the back, from tearing vertically, is that we trim it horizontally. So, using a pair of scissors, we go. And we prioritize maintaining the skin from the breast side, because that's where the puff pastry is going to go in. Now, once you're in and the wings have been revealed, the easiest way to take off the skin from the wings is to take the wing drum with us. So, you wiggle and you find the joint, and we make an incision to dislocate the shoulder. Once the shoulder is dislocated, we very carefully cut all around the joint. Once that's done, you grab on to the wing joint, you press the bone down all the way, taking a very, very clean bone with us, and you just gently pull. It's one side done. Now do the same with the other side. Good, perfect. So on the back, once you get to the oysters, you stop and we turn it over and we undress the legs. And now we have our naked chicken. Before we add the puff pastry, I'm just going to trim the neck slightly for prettier presentation later. Okay, this butcher is not touching my chicken ever again. Horrible job he did. And we take the opportunity to remove the wishbone for easier carving later. Perfect! Now, we're ready to welcome the puff pastry. So, here we have store-bought puff pastry sheet. As advertised many times on this channel, pastry is definitely not my strong suit, but I try. Lift the chicken up. Tuck in the front, because why not? And just because we have spare. Perfect. Now, as carefully as possible, we put the dress back on. Starting with the back, all the way back to the front. Perfect. Now, the beauty is, the puff pastry is actually sticky, so it helps the skin bind very well. Back with the flesh, and now we can roast. I've preheated the oven to 240 degrees Celsius with the baking tray inside to help even cooking, to cook the dark meat a bit more than the breast. But today we're really solving for the skin. So just to prevent sticking, a bit of oil, chicken goes in. And from experience, I know it would splash a bit, so I'm standing back. Quickly oil the other side for some even browning. And now, this beauty goes into the oven for about 40 minutes. I want this as close to the top shelf as possible to maximize the chance of the puff pastry working its magic. So the time lapse will be a bit subpar, but hey, we're solving for the chicken. I'll see you in 40 minutes. All right, after about 35 minutes, the chicken's ready and it's gonna smoke a bit, so forgive me for the noise. Yep. We have a bit of a Frankenstein situation here, but just look at the color of the skin. So this, of course, is mainly because it was my worst undressing job in the history of this channel. So once the puff pastry started to expand, it tore the skin here. But we have a good enough sample size to know what happens to the puff pastry and the skin with this part of the drum and this part of the breast. I mean, wow. I think we need to grab a separate mic just for the chicken. So, the puff pastry is obviously crispy, judging from even just the color. The skin, wow. It's definitely a worthy barrier for moisture. So, there's zero doubt this method would make the skin extremely, extremely crispy. This is the crispiest skin we've ever had on this channel. Oh my... The only question is, how palatable is the part of the puff pastry that's trapped under the skin, which would have absorbed a lot of moisture? Normally, I'd say rest the chicken, but I'm too excited, I don't care. I think we carve. And just to be prepared, I even have a bread knife here. I mean, come on, can you hear that? This is without any doubt the crispiest chicken we've ever had. Even the drum. And this bit, the soggy death triangle of roasted chicken, the part between the drum and the bottom of the breast. Listen to this. Wow. All right, let's carve one, shall we? This is what we're testing for. I'm struggling with this knife, I'm not joking. Might need a bread knife. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Crispy Skin. Guys, ChatGPT is wrong. Because the pastry created such a moisture barrier, there's actually so much steam coming out from the chicken itself. Let's do it, shall we? Very juicy meat, that's not even a question. We literally have a pool of chicken juices here. All right, the moment of truth, let's do it. So the breast is perfectly cooked, but that's just temperature control. Now, with the skin, we have the crispiest skin we've ever had on this channel. But we have a bit of a soggy pastry situation here. So not the whole thing is soggy. If I scrape this, you'll see what I mean. So we have this much of soggy pastry, but this much of good pastry, and this thin layer under the skin that's almost crispy pastry. And the skin melts in your mouth. That's how beautiful it is. It also picked up a bit of the buttery goodness from the puff pastry. I think to get closer to perfection, all we need to do is to roll the puff pastry much thinner, do a much better job undressing and redressing the chicken, and we will simply have perfect crispy skin without soggy pastry with very juicy chicken. I genuinely thought we couldn't top the previous episode, but I think this is by a mile a better method. And next time, we'll try it with phyllo pastry, and the week after, Vietnamese spring roll sheets. Like I said many times, the pursuit for crispy skin whole roasted chicken never ends. This is Inside Out Chicken Wellington. I really hope you enjoy.